how's it going today? Great to see you. Today's a better day. Yesterday was all over the place. We had the launch of the toolkit. I had lots of trouble. So for those of you who were here yesterday, thanks for sticking with me. It was one of those days. Here, let's see who we got. Tracy's here. Howdy from Washington, D.C. Still loving the toolkit. That's awesome. Shauna says, I'm waiting. There you go. Awesome. Evan's here. Reverend Ev. That's right. Hola, James. Hola. Shauna's here. Let's see here. How's everybody's doing? Let's see here. Let's get Dean's here. Hi, Dean. Thank you for helping me in all of my struggles yesterday. Let's see here. I'm just going to skip by all the little conversations. Ev says, hey, Lee, sounds great. Awesome. Hello, Cleve. Hi, Chris. Chris, did you see the new Spinal Tap movie? That's what I want to know. I heard that I think you told me you were thinking about going there. Let's see here. Dean says, here we go. Dean put the link up. Best deal on the internet. That's what I'm going for. I'm packing this thing. I'm packing it. Right. Yeah. All right. Steven is here from Australia. Steven, how's it going? I hope everything should be starting to warm up there. I would assume. Let's see. Shauna says only 2 likes. We can do better. That's right. We can do better than that. If I had here we go. Maybe if I take a minute later on, I'll put a like in too. Let's see. Chris says must be near that. Okay. Chris said, yes, I saw the Spinal Tap. No spoilers. Thank you. When I'm not in a launch, I can't wait to do that. So to Aaron's here. Aaron popped in. What's happening, man? How you doing? So we're going to have some fun today. We're going to be talking about blues a little bit. I've got a little tab that we're going to work on today so you can get your guitars going. I'm going to share one of the practice bundles, a couple licks from one of the practice bundles, so you get to see what we've got in there. Have a lot of fun stuff going on. A lot of people are buying the toolkit, which is awesome, and I'm happy that yesterday was over. If you've ever been frustrated with guitar, I know who I'm talking to. I know, but if you have, so last night, I had to do an audio podcast. The audio podcast comes out at 3 a.m. on Wednesdays. And the reason for that is for Chris. I want to make sure that Chris can listen to it on his way to work in the morning or before he goes to work in the morning. So it's for the UK. That's where you kind of start. And then the time zones go across right there. So I get it out by 3 o'clock. Yesterday at the end of that launch, I laid down for a few minutes and that was it. It was over. It had been quite a rough day. I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, you know what? I'm just going to get this done. So it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't record it then, but I had a really, really, really strong idea about why we're all doing this in the first place. And I've got some very frustrated students who are working their way through some things. And so I have a podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on anywhere where you get podcasts. It came out last night. And it's called The Story of You. We're talking about why we're doing this. And I relate it to some kind of time-tested stories. And it turned out really, really good. I got some sleep before I recorded it. It probably would have been bad if I'd done it at 4 o'clock in the morning. But I got the idea then. And if you have a minute, really go and take a listen to that. It's not playing guitar. It's not all the stuff like we're going to do today. This is more the why we're doing this stuff and what are the real reasons we're not getting better. Anybody can learn scales and anybody can learn chords. You do it long enough, you can do that. But there's some things that keep us stuck. And it was a lot of fun. So if anybody could take a listen to that, I would appreciate it. I'd love to hear what somebody thinks about it. It was a special one for me. Okay, so we're here at 5 o'clock. We have a hard cutoff because we have the Q&A for our Academy members. And so I'd like to go ahead and let me bring the chat over here so I can see Um, let's see here. She said, okay, okay. Frustrated. That's right. I like it. Thank you. That's right. I said, Pocket Cast didn't have the whole of September in their catalog. I downloaded a whole new player to listen this morning. Okay. I wonder why that is. I'll have to go and check. I use something called Libsyn. Libsyn's pretty nice. I've been using it since 2018. I put the podcast up, and then it splits it to everyone. So, yeah, if you get a chance, take a listen to that. So let's see. No questions in there. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to the toolkit here. So if you haven't heard about the toolkit, if you're one of those folks who hasn't heard yet, because we've been doing this for a few weeks, this is a $20 course that I've loaded. I wanted something that you would come back to. I wanted something that was over delivering, right? So what we have is we have a masterclass. There's 7 to 7 chapter masterclass, and each one of them has for 5 of them we have daily practice videos. So I practice along with you the things that we learn in the masterclass for 5 days in a row, and then we switch to the next masterclass. So you get 20 days of practices out of this. Plus, I said, well, why just give one thing to practice? I'm teaching concepts. I'm not just teaching. I'm not asking you to memorize things and just play one thing. So why not give you the opportunity to use these ideas in all keys? So I got to work, and I have something called the Vault, and the Vault has all the scales across the neck in every key for all the scales that you would use for blues, plus the major scale. Even though we don't use the major scale very much, it's the scale that we get all these other scales from. So I went about doing that. I'm like, what's the technology that I need to do to make this easy? And I tried different things, and the easiest thing was just being organized and having, you can click what key you're in. What key do you, I think, what do I want? Okay, I want a Chicago blues, I want to shuffle, right? And I want the key I want to be in right here, and I want it to pop up right ahead. And then also I want to make sure you can download them too if you wanted to do them offline as well too. And then I wanted you to have the form. So what is this? The 1 chord going to the 4, going to the 5. I want to have all that right there, plus a backing track. And I thought, well, that would start to get specific. What if we had some specific practices that we could do? And I made something which is the bonus for this, which are called practice bundles, where I went through the Vault and I picked certain things that all come together so you can do some little practices. And that's what we're going to look at right now. So I can share my screen multiple ways. I think I'm just going to share it through this program here real quick. There we go. And Dean, thank you for putting that up again. I sure appreciate that. That's very helpful. Thank you. And again, thanks for letting me know. Yesterday, when I logged in, there was 2 of me here. I couldn't get rid of the other me, and that was a little creepy. And then the audio wasn't working on the board, and the computer stopped working. It was just it was a mess. I took those down, by the way, from yesterday. Thank you for those of you who suffered along. But we're going to be playing a Chicago Shuffle today. So what's a Chicago Shuffle? Chicago Shuffle is not a boogie pattern. It deals with accents on the 1 and the 2. Bam, 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 bam. Those kind of things. There's mid-tempo. It lays back a little bit in a certain way. Once you start listening to blues, that you hear them. Muddy Waters is the big one where you listen to a lot of Muddy Waters. You hear other songs that sound like him. Those are the Chicago Shuffles. But this is in the key of D. So we're going to play a little bit in the key of D today. Chord progression that we're going to use is the 1 chord on all 4s. We don't have a quick 4. We have the 4 chord. We have the first measure 5, measure 6 as the 4 chord. And then we're just regular blues on through. But we do have a little turnaround at the end. So we do go to the A chord, the A7 chord, so it's a pretty much typical blues. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. So I think we're going to do the first lick and the second lick of this today. I don't know if you can see it. Let me make this a lot bigger. Oh, that's as big as this wants me to be able. I hope you can see that all right. If not, I'll get this on a PDF where I can make it really big. Let me know if it's readable to you or not here. And I'm going to get started as we go. So get your guitars. I hope Evan's got his guitar. I hope Shauna has her guitar. Dean, hope he has his guitar. Evan says, who's in the toolkit already? I'm thinking about picking it up this weekend. We got a bunch of folks in there. Some of them are right here with us right now. So we're in D. We're going to go to the 7th fret. So we're gonna start off with a pickup. So what's a pickup? So a pickup is exactly what you would think it is. 1, 2, 3, and then before you get to 1, where the song starts, there's a little playing in the count off. Maybe the drummer goes 1, 2, ready, go. During ready and go, you might have someone playing a few notes that bring the song in. It could be a fill on the drums. But what we have here is 1, 2, 3. This is on the end of 3, and then on 4, and then the end of 4. And we're playing D minor pentatonic first, okay? So let's go. We're going to have 7th fret on the G string, and then we go 6th fret on the B string, and back to the 7th fret on the G string, and then we have the 8th fret with a full step bend, and then a little quarter half step bend on 6. So let me switch over to my camera, and let's get a little bit closer here. So this is our first little lick here. Works over any kind of blues. So this is in pattern 4 of the D minor pentatonic. There's D blues, the D minor blues scale, or the D minor pentatonic. And if we go back over there, let's see here, let's find it. We have the scales right underneath it, and that's this one right here. 5th fret to 8th fret. 1, 4, and then root 1. By the way, I have a little thing to share with you if you practice scales. A lot of us practice scales, and scales can get a little boring, a little tedious going back and forth, but there's one real easy little thing that you can do to make your scale practice a little bit better. And that is pay big attention, feature your root notes when you play. So I'm going to play, when I play my scales, I always have a chord, a vamp underneath, right? So I'm going to record just a D7 chord here. Now when I do my scales, I'm going to start as low as possible, and then when I get to the root, I'm going to let it ring. Okay? So the low notes are good. There's nothing wrong with the low notes, even though they're not the root. Now let it ring. Now I'm going to go to the next one. Let it ring. Now I'm going to go up and I'll get all the notes that are up at the top. But when I come back, I'm going to stop at the root note. Now I'm going to go back down. But I feature the root. Now we got 2 notes left on the low string. Now, as I'm playing that, and you hear that chord behind me, the notes, I'm hitting the strong notes, I'm making a big deal about them. All of a sudden, I'm starting to get ideas. Why is that? Because that note is like punctuation at the end of a sentence. Even though it's not a great sentence, it still had an ending, right? So what's wrong with playing scales? What's wrong if notes go? What does scales sound like? Scales sound like movement. That's why people who, you go to the Guitar Center in the morning, Saturday morning, and everybody's just playing scales and all that stuff, and it just sounds crazy to you because everybody's going somewhere, but they're not getting anywhere, right? So if you get into the habit of practicing your scales, by featuring the root and having some sort of harmony behind you, the chord behind you, your ear's gonna start to discern what the strong notes are, what the weak notes are. You can do it with the third, the fifth, the flat seventh as well too. So that's just my little habit there to share with you. But we were doing our lick. Now let's talk about this lick. We start on the root. We go up to the 6th fret. That's the minor third. This is F. And then we go up to the 4th. A whole step bend. We go up. And then we go back to so that's the 4th going to the 5th. And then we go back to the minor third, but it doesn't bend all the way up to the major third. It bends about halfway. It's like a quarter tone, right? This is something that that quarter tone is an extra note for us blues players. You hear it a lot in pro blues solos. It's not to the major third. It's not minor third. It's a note that's in between. I've heard a lot of different stories of why that came to be, different nationalities of music and those things. But all I know is it sounds really nice sometimes, and I use that a lot. It adds a little bit of extra tension, and it wants to go up all the way, but it doesn't quite get there. So that's our first lick. Oh, we got some stuff going on in the chat. Aaron says, feature the root. Sounds like it belongs on a t-shirt. Yeah. Evan says, I'm trying to recommit to weekday practicing with intent. I would love that. I would love to hear about that, Evan. This might be the trick for me since I'm trying to improve my leads. That's great. Dean says it's the price of 2 beers at the bar. Aaron, loving the structure and everything in one place. That's great. Sean is talking about Guitar Center on Saturday morning. A lot of people trying to show off. They're all running around with nowhere to go, right? So what we let me go back over to our licks. So I'm going to go back up here. So we have, this is our first lick right here. Now, as we do in blues, you need to take advantage of the repeats. It's a music that repeats. The whole 12-bar structure repeats. The phrases repeat. If you pay attention to the vocal melodies of blues, they do it once and then they repeat it. They do it again, and then the third time they do something a little bit different, right? So repetition is your friend, and if you can do repeats but embellish those repeats, then it sounds fantastic, right? So let's see what we've done here. We've got the same lick again. So root, minor third, root, and then we bend the 4th again. But we end with a different note. So if we come down, too many screens here. So here's the first one. And then finally, we come up to the 8th fret on the high string, which is the flat 7th, and we bend it up to the root this time. Pretty nice, right? So if I had let me get a little So right there you hear that little, just taking a simple phrase. And what I did is I repeated the simple phrase. The simple phrase worked. Why? Because it dealt with strong notes and weak notes. And then when I repeated that simple phrase, I only changed one note. But boy, it kept your interest there, right? So we're talking about simple ideas. Simple ideas are the most powerful. If you can take a simple idea, but do it with your brain, right? But it make sure that it's matching the notes, that the simple notes that you pick deal with strong notes and weak notes and follow the harmony of the chord. You can't beat it. There's nothing, and that's what a great melody is. If you, we have a whole thing in coaching where we take random songs. I'll say, pick any song that you want. And who knows, it could be like a Tom Petty's, who knows what song it is. And what we do is we stack all the strong notes of each chord, like a crossword puzzle, right? We start at the top, work our way down. And we start talking about different ways of connecting those strong notes there. So while you're playing over this chord, you're going to feature a certain note. And this one's right next to that one. Oh, that would be easy to get there. And this one's right next to that one. That one's easy to get to, right? So being smart with your notes. Then once you can get smart with these notes choices that you're making, then when you do play fast, it sounds like it has a reason to be there. It has a direction, right? So then you're not just playing fast for fast's sake. You're doing it for a purpose, because it's needed in the song. Okay, so let's go back over to here. Let's continue on. So we just had a second. Where is it? Too many. Okay, so we just had a kind of a call and response. The first lick here used minor pentatonic with some bends, and then the second one here had minor pentatonic, but it had a different bend at the end. It was a bending from the flat 7 up to the root. But now this is the one I really wanted to do today, which is the sliding 6ths and 9ths. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, but that's vanished because it was horrible and I had to get rid of it. Right? So let's take a look here. We're going to... Okay, so this is... That's what we're doing there. Okay, so we're going to start doing some double stops here. What are double stops? Anybody know what double stops are? You can put it in the chat. What's a double stop? Right? It's 2 notes. The definition of it is just 2 notes that you played together there. Double stops mostly are chord tones. Not all of them, right? So you hear stuff like... These notes that I'm picking, the strong notes from these double stops, are chord tones. Now I am chromatically going down to add tension. Those kind of things. I was setting up the chord tones. So when you're trying to get double stops going on, Sean said double stop. There we go. That's right. We got double stops going on. Offshoots of tritones. Yeah, there's all sorts of different ways. You could do the tritones. That's the coolest one. Where you get the 3rd and the 7th of the chord that you're playing over, right? So we're in D. What's the 3rd and the 7th of a D? What's the 3rd and the 7th of a D dominant 7th? Who knows? Anybody? Am I gonna have to do all this by myself? Well, I guess I'm the one on camera. I guess I'm gonna have to do that, right? The 3rd of a D dominant, 3rds and 7ths. There you go. So we have 3rds and 7ths. We have in D, F sharp is the 3rd. What's the flat 7th in the key of D? It's an easy one. I'm setting you up. Anybody want to knock that one out? Thank you, Chris. Chris knocked it out of the park. That was an easy one. The C. Thank you, Evan. F sharps and the C, right? So we have On the middle two strings, I'm going to play the F sharp and the C. And look at the shape it is. It's in this diagonal shape. It's very similar to our tritone. In fact, it is a tritone. It's a tritone that lives in the chord. A dominant seventh chord has a tritone in it. Flat 5. Jimi Hendrix sound, right? Rush, all that kind of stuff. People who isolate that sound do that for its tension. But a tritone lives in a dominant seventh chord. And a dominant seventh chord lives in a major scale. It's the 5 chord, right? So there was a time in life where the tritone was a very scary thing. You didn't want to play that. So people would think that there's something wrong with you. Right? But they should have been mad at themselves because they were playing it every time they played a dominant seventh chord because it's in there, right? Okay, cool. So we got our little tritone here that is the 3rd and the 7th of the dominant seventh. Now, what do we go to? We go to our 4 chord. It's the 4 chord in D. It's a G dominant 7. Well, let's look at the G dominant 7. What is the 3rd and the flat 7th of the G dominant 7? Well, the major third of G is a B, right? And the flat 7th is 2 frets down from G, which is an F, not a... She said sounds like a horn. Yeah. Sounds like, yeah. Okay, so then we're at the G dominant 7th. And here's our 2 chord tones. We've got our F sharp and our B. Our G, our F and our B. Right? The B is the 3rd and the F is the flat 7. Now look at that shape right there. It's the same. Here's the one from D. Here's the one for the 4 chord. Can you hear the chord going by? You hear the 4 chord change. 1 chord, 4 chord. I know you can hear it. I can hear it, right? Just changing the 3rds and 7ths with that tritone. I never played a root, not one time, but you could hear it. You could hear that it was in the key of D, even though I never played D. And you can go back and forth, right? Here, I'll put the roots in. Now I'm going to take the roots out. The harmony's the same, right? We're hearing the blues harmony going through there. Right? What's the other chord we have in a regular blues? Key of D, we have a 5 chord. That's an A7. In A7, we have a C sharp, which is a 3rd, and a G, which is the flat 7th. Look, same shape. Our 3rd and our 7th have that tritone, right? So in the middle was the 1, back 1 is the 4, back to the 1, back to the 4, right? We go back and forth, and then at the end of the blues, we go to the 5 chord. We go up for that one. When we get to the 4 chord, we'll go back 2. We're surrounding the 1, and then there you go. There's the there's the major third of that 5 chord. That's always surprising, right? So there's a little trick for you. You can use your tritones to outline some chords there. Let's go back to the scale pattern that we were doing. We're going to do. She said, "Turn around," and nice, right? There you go. There you go. So what were we doing? We were starting to learn some double stops and some little chord. I don't know what like little small chords. I've heard people call them chord stabs. I don't like the way that sounds. Chord hits. I like the way that's better. And so then let's let's do this. So we're going to be at the 12th fret. We're going to play the 12th fret on the D string, and then we're going to play a double stop on the G and the B string at the 12th fret as well. Come back to the D, and then we're going to play a little chord hit of the D dominant 7th chord that's on the D, G, and B string. It sounds like this. You've heard that a million times. So let me go I got to go in a minute because we got the Academy coming up in 5 minutes. But here it is. I'm gonna bar. I don't have to jump my finger there. I can just put them all down, and then here's the part of my big dominant 7th. Next, in the lick, I go to I'm going to slide up. Now I'm doing another double stop, and this is one that you hear a lot. It's one that's separated by a string. We get an interval. We get some distance there. And this is going to be from the D string at the 10th fret, which is the flat 7th of D, and then the B string at the 10th fret, which is the 5th. And we're going to slide up to the root note, and then the major D, the root note, and then a B, right? So which is the 13th. So we're getting kind of sliding up to a 6/13 type sound. Pretty neat, huh? Right? So taking notes from the chords and from the scales and making double stops with them. And Shauna said, too short of a lesson. I know, I gotta go. But we got a lesson coming up in the Academy in a few minutes. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Evan says, I'm in the Academy and the coaching, which he sure is, and I've been my own worst enemy with commitment and motivation, but starting to turn around. I know that for a fact. I know it for a fact. Well, everybody, had a great time hanging out with you today. Make sure if you get a chance, in the description is the link. It's $20, the best $20. This is the $20 that you'll spend, that you'll come back to over and over again. Dean says it's the price of 2 beers at the bar with a tip. Depends on which beers that you get, right? I had a lot of fun today. Today went a lot better than yesterday. I think I needed one of those in my belt there, right? So there you go. Thank you guys. Thanks everybody. I will see y'all tomorrow. All right. You have a good one. Okay. And I'll see Academy members in just a few minutes. Bye-bye.